Снова здравствуйте, друзья, вы снова на DevGame, мы снова на DevGame, канал Disgusting Man. Сегодня и завтра целыми днями только и делает, что стримит конференцию разработчиков игр DevGame в Москве в отеле Hyatt Regency. Собрались все, кто интересно может рассказать про индустрию, про бизнес, про искусство и про вот эти все дела. Виктор Зуев.
Да. Здравствуйте.
Петр Сальников меня зовут по-прежнему. Сегодня в гостях у нас Ричард Грей, тот самый Levelord, легендарный разработчик. Thanks for coming. It's so nice to finally meet you after all those years of playing your video games. You know, I've just tried Sin.
Yeah, which the first one or the?
Yeah, the first one.
Как жаль.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was for us. It was bad. We had to meet deadline. We were competing with Half-Life.
Mm-hmm.
If you were alive back then, you saw the magazine covers.
Yeah, of course.
And Sin and Half-Life and Sin and Half-Life.
And then Unreal came out, and yeah, it was a huge year for shooters.
Yeah, but no, but the two big ones were Sin and Half-Life, and of course getting out the door and getting into the stores first, even if it's just for 1 week ahead of time. People usually only have enough money to buy one game, and so whoever gets out there first. And somehow, I don't know how, we got out first, but we had 3 show-stopping bugs. As anybody who knows making computer programs, you can't touch one thing that doesn't have effect on something else way over here. And so every time you change code, you've got to go and start the whole game over again and go through the whole thing. And we didn't. We thought we had, but we didn't obviously do it enough. And the publisher thought we had, and we were kind of hoping, to be honest, that they would run through it. They've got their own QA department, but they didn't run through it either. And just because of mistakes like that, it got out early, and there was 3. The very first boss comes out of his big room.
Yeah, it was so scary.
And stops.
Yeah.
And then and that's it. There's nothing you can do. And back then you couldn't just put out a patch, a digital patch.
No Steam,
Yeah,
no stuff like
Steam,
that.
no updates.
Yeah. So it was a real shame because I think Half-Life, of course, was the game. And but I look back and I think, they were the Coca-Cola, and we could have been the Pepsi. Right behind. And I'm a Pepsi person, so. But no, of course, Half-Life was a terrific game, and we still have a big following of people who still play Sin. Once it was patched, it was fine. And the patch came out, I think, 6 weeks later. We were all dead, as most people know now. They didn't know back then, but making games for a living is not like playing games. It's like, I like pizza. I love pizza, but I don't want to work in a pizzeria. Making the pizza is not the same as eating the pizza. And it's the same with games. It's brutal, even still today. It's brutal work, and you have to. I mean, it's fun playing a game. It's not fun playing a game for the 1,000th time. You're playing it over and over, and you have to make sure you go through every different pathway and long hours, even more so back then than now. But yeah.
Yeah, so you were always a rock and roll person, because we actually met you on pages of such magazines like Game magazine and stuff like that, always with a bottle and this big smile. So, and now you're a guy who attends lecture halls, and you
sometimes
provide a lot of info on game development in different locations. Tell us about that.
Not so much anymore now that I live here in Moscow now for a few years, and I'm really quite the pensioner. I've been happy with just nobody. I go to the Moscow University and help a little bit there. But while I was still back in America, I was one of the first people to go to. There was 3 different universities: Southern Methodist University and Texas University, and I'm sorry, I can't remember the third. But we helped start the game degrees that are now everyone understands it, of course, game degrees. But back then it was people thought, especially the parents who had to pay tuition for their child who wants to go learn how to make games in university, and they're, come on, be serious. Yeah. They didn't. Now they get it. Now they understand. But so that was exciting to do that, to watch, especially for me, because my father was Dean of Arts, Fine Arts at universities in America, and he spent 10 years in Los Angeles, UCLA, developing their degrees for making movies. And a lot of the famous people that are now directors and screenwriters and stuff went through either UCLA or the University of Southern California. But they went through the same trouble. I remember my dad coming home saying they just don't get it. They don't understand. that this is a legitimate. Here we are in Hollywood, and so it was fun for me watching that happen with computer games back. That would be about 15 years ago, almost 20 years ago.
So speaking about the education, sorry, Vic. Speaking about the education, it's an important question now because in the US there's more opportunity to study game development than in Russia. But after living here for several years, what can you say? Where, if a young person decides to connect his life with making video games, where should he go to study? Because there's no such thing like video games degree in, like.
Well, we have the University of Moscow, the State University that's in Moscow, has a very nice degree for design and the programming and everything. But the very first piece of advice I give, even still, no matter what, even if you have the best universities and the best schools right there, and even if they're free, make sure you really want to do this. Again, playing games and making games are not the same thing. And back when I used to have a company and would hire people, they would say, "Oh, Richard, I want to be a level designer. Can I come in?" And I would say, "Well, show me what you've got." "Oh, I don't have anything, but I really want to do." And that right there would already tell me, if you aren't already making levels or making the art or making mods in the code, then you really should think about it, because you really don't want to, you would already be doing it. And the same would be true for today here in Moscow. If you're not already doing it, you have the entire internet. There's no excuse. There's free tools to do everything, good tools to do 3D modeling, to do 2D art, to do level design for almost every single game. The programming is a little bit more specialized, but you can learn that too, self-taught. So that's what I would advise.
I really want to translate this idea to the audience. Смотрите, ребят, если вы хотите идти в игры, вот сейчас Levelord сказал очень важную вещь. Играть в игры и делать игры — это настолько разные вещи. Он сравнил это с пиццерией. Есть пиццу, мы все эксперты. Делать обзоры на пиццы, вообще ставить 6 из 10 пиццерии, обзоры доставки, это одно. А вот работать в пиццерии, в этой индустрии, держать бизнес, чтобы она не закрылась на следующий день, и чтобы эти работники не разбежались и прочее, это совершенно другое абсолютно.
У нас есть потрясающий пример. Человек, который ушел из видео-девелопмента и пошел в пиццерию, Рафаэл Калантонио, for Arcane Fame.
И с играми такая же история. К нему приходили люди молодые, мы хотим делать игры, я хочу быть левел-дизайнером, я хочу быть гейм-дизайнером, я хочу быть там программистом. И первый вопрос: ребята, можете что-то показать, что вы делаете? Ну, у меня пока ничего нет, но я очень хочу, я энтузиаст, я прям вот буду делать все, что вы скажете.
Если ты до сих пор это не делаешь,
так
значит, ты
не работает. Вот именно. Это всего лишь хотелки, а сейчас, когда вы можете, вам даже не обязательно на самом деле поступать на какие-то курсы, вы просто открываете интернет, огромное количество бесплатных программ, приложений, описаний, видеороликов, как кодить, как программить, как левел-дизайнить. И если вы до сих пор этим не занимаетесь, вы не хотите делать игры. Вот и все. No excuses.
Прав. Точно.
Да, передал верно вроде.
So any future creative plans or no more pizzeria job in your life?
No, right now, actually right now, the past 6 months, I've been retired since 2008, but I still dabble a little bit of Unreal. Mostly I've been doing Unity, because Unreal, not recently, but Unity's been out for quite a bit longer, and it still has a bigger resource of stuff you can buy. But I still dabble. I've got about 30 or 40 prototypes. Like any creative thing you do, you get real excited and you start something and you get halfway through and then you get excited over here and I'll come back, and you never go back. But right now, for the very first time, I don't like playing games on handhelds, because for me, when they came out, I'm in my 60s and already this is too small and I can't get my fingers in it. And so I've avoided making those games because I don't play them. But now that I live in a city with metro and buses, everywhere you go, it doesn't matter if it's a young child or babushki, they've all got their thing up playing a quick game or whatever. And so for the first time in Unity, sorry Unreal, the first time in Unity, I thought, what the heck, I'm going to do a Hello World program and turn it into an Android. I've got an Android phone. And I came up and I got goosebumps. I said, oh, I got to make games for the handheld. So I've been playing right now with some stuff, and I'm getting excited again. It's like an addiction. You can't help but to but nothing planned for like so far. Nothing planned, to start a company and although that's you never know, things grow. But right now I just want to make something and just put it out there for free and just see what happens. And then I don't know what to do after there. I'll find out. The only thing I'm missing really, I can do the programming and I can do the design, of course, but artists. But here I am in the land of extremely talented artists who are, compared to where I'm from, work relatively low cost. So, yeah, I don't know. I might do something.
Hmm. And speaking about gaming industry, old times and nowadays, so there are many people who whine about modern games, modern gaming industry, that good old times, there are better games. So what do you think?
Which they do not recall, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's the same, the exact same. Again, there's always we can fall back, the video games can fall back on the movie industry who had done all this before. Nobody, when I was growing up, the older people would say, you need to watch black and white movies, which is true. The great directors in movies, the Citizen Kane and the Alfred Hitchcocks and
Charlie Chaplin.
yeah, Charlie Chaplin, go back, and these were still are great, and they're pure. They're very simple, prosta filming. and what they talk about games now, back in the days of sprites, where we didn't pay a lot of attention to technology and making things look real. We paid attention to making them fun. And so there's that, but they're both good. You can't pick one and say one's better than the other. And I don't blame people who don't. I love black and white movies. I did when I was a child, but not everybody did. And it doesn't matter. But I think I'm on the side of, maybe because I'm older. Games lost. One of the reasons why I retired was because about 15 years ago, games got too complicated for me. I liked Duke Nukem and Doom and remember the game Serious Sam.
Yeah.
That came out, and I'm a fan of Croatia. I love Croatia as it is. But they met me at an E3 and said, here, you got to try this. And I tried it, and it's nothing but shooting. There's a little story.
Pure gameplay.
There's like 3 sentences of story, and then there's nothing but guns, ammo, and things to shoot at. And I thought, they put my I would say, the Croats have game, and they put it on their box because that's like. And so that's how I am. I don't like I have to read a whole book of a story.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got gadgets. You have too many gadgets for even the keyboard, let alone a controller. And I'm like, I just want to go in there. If I can't start playing a game and know what I'm doing within 5 minutes, it's just not for me. It's not a bad game, but it's just not for me. So I tend to be, if I were to ever make a first-person or third-person shooter, it would be a Serious Sam kind of thing where it's just a lot of targets.
Well, Serious Sam was, I think it's pretty obvious it was inspired by your early works.
They say that, but no, they on their own, they didn't need a Duke Nukem or Doom to do what they did. They had game. They were.
Well, if they hadn't Doom or Duke Nukem, maybe.
Well, I think honestly, if nobody had Doom, or it wasn't Doom, it was Wolfenstein was the first one that got everybody, and then Doom came out and it had the atmosphere and the stairs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Wolfenstein was the first one that made me go. I've got a picture. I don't know how much time we have, but real quick, I had a picture at the time of Wolfenstein coming out. I was working in aerospace. I was an aerospace engineer with a university degree in engineering, and I don't look like it, I know, but I'm smart. And worked at a company that made these huge, they're test stands, and what they are is both military and commercial jet the engine. It has a fuel control on it. It's the carburetor for a jet engine. And it's not like your car that's just driving like this. It's a jet engine that changes in altitude, and so it's got just hoses and it's just very complicated. And every 10,000 flight hours, they've got to take it off, take it apart, put everything back together with new O-rings and seals, and then they put it on one of these machines to test it. A machine that I worked at the company and wrote the software for it. And got a picture of me. I was the software engineer, and then I'm on site with a colleague of mine who's the mechanical and electrical engineer, and we're sitting there doing it. And if you look closely on the computer screen, it's not the diagnostic software. It's Wolfenstein. It's a $6 million machine, and we're sitting there like Wolfenstein. Anyhow.
Well, I'm glad that the time is over. You don't need $6 million to run Wolfenstein these days.
Yeah, it was the same in Russia and the former Soviet Union.
Yeah.
So the people played games on the work on the secret governmental facility.
Soyuz.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks very much.
Thank you.
We'll see you around, I believe. Will you be? You will be here tomorrow.
Yep.
You will be speaking with Randy.
With Randy Pitchford, yeah.
And if you
and then giving out the awards, I'm going to help with that.
yeah, if you will have some free time tomorrow to chat in private, then we could use that in our advantage.
Yes, we can, but just let's catch us early because we do have plans for dinners and stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, it'd be my pleasure. And even after the show, you guys are in Moscow, yeah?
Sure.
Yeah, so after, like next week or next year or something.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Очень приятно.